All right, we're gonna record.
Hold on. Okay, am I still supposed to do my script for these remotely conducted open meetings?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Sure. This preliminary matter, this is John Brasher, the chair of the Real Estate Assessment Committee. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on this agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Rhoda Wyman.
Aye.
Lee Saperstein.
Here, aye.
And I believe Penny Dye is not attending, and we're waiting for Mr. Barretta. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Ken Bogrand.
Present.
Haley Cook.
She's on mute.
I'm here, present.
And anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Rob Ranney.
Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Real Estate Assessment Committee is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020 due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is affordable so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. For this meeting, the Real Estate Assessment Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I, the chair, knows otherwise. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, let's go over some ground rules. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After I conclude the remarks, chair will go down the line of members, invite each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. For items of public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to those members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Easy, right? Perfect. Okay. So first item on the agenda, may I have an approval of the agenda as written?
I wasn't at the last meeting, so.
No, for this agenda.
Oh, for this amendment. So moved.
We have a motion made. Is there a second?
Sure, second.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Lee Saperstein.
aye.
The chair votes aye as well. Public comment. Any members of the public? Okey doke. Approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from September 12th?
I wasn't at the last meeting,
Right,
so I
last
did
meeting.
not.
Do we want to wait until we have more folks present to make a motion on them, on those minutes so we can table them?
Sure.
Sure, why don't we do that? We'll punt the minutes over to our December meeting. All right, first item on the agenda, or the first real estate matter, is the proposed taking of portions of Hollister Road, shown as parcels 1 through 6 inclusive, for plan number 2022-33, is authorized by affirmative vote at warrant article 96 of 2014 annual town meeting. Our office represents some butters, so I am recusing myself, and Ms. Weinman has the pleasure of chairing.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on this or comments on this? Any of the members? Mr.
Just-
Saperstein.
Just a matter of interest, Rhoda, does anybody know who Hollister was?
I don't. Do you, John?
Nope.
No.
No, the reason I ask is the next street over, Salisbury, is named for a member of the board of directors of the Nantucket Railroad.
Really?
Yeah. Tom Nevers was an enterprise, a commercial development that supported the railroad so that people could get out there if they bought their lots.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Well, thank you for
Okay.
sharing that with us.
I don't think that affects the order of taking, which I'm happy to move.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to, you're moving that?
Yes.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
And did print out the map. I realized it's got 6 separate plots as the paper Hollister Road has been divided up for each of the abutting property owners.
And that is correct. I have made sure that each of them has the ability to have access, which was a concern, and that has been resolved. I have to second the motion.
Okay, I'll second it then.
Okay, and then roll call
Okay.
vote
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
carries unanimously.
Okay.
All right.
You're back.
Next item is the item on land pricing. What we have done in the past is to have Rob come to us at the beginning of each fiscal year and to talk to us, or at some point in time, talk to us about where we are with respect to pricing of the parcels, because he gives us guidance with respect to that in terms of looking at the overall situation relative to all of the land on the island.
Awesome. Rob, welcome. Nice to see you again.
Thanks for having me on such short notice.
Oh, thank you. So, I mean, we seem to make this an annual event, and I think it's probably good governance on our part not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but I think it's one of the necessary aspects of the committee just to check in to make sure that we're, sort of doing the right thing. And so I'm going to lead off with a question. I mean, real estate obviously has been sort of bizarre over the last 2 or 3 years. I think that's fair to say.
That's a good word.
Yeah, right. And so are the assessed values sort of catching up to that at this point? Sort of are we on track, sort of in your eyes, in terms of the value of vacant land? Obviously, there's some outliers with sort of larger lots, but for just dollar per square footage, are we still, I don't know, in the somewhere between in the ballpark and market value?
Sort of.
Okay,
We are because of the way our process works, we're behind somewhat. So this fiscal year, our values are determined using sales that took place in 2021, in calendar year 2021, which
Okay.
was probably the highest record year in real estate ever on Nantucket. And so I am still calculating what the new values are going to be for fiscal 23. And that should happen within the next month at the most.
Okay.
But as far as, catching up, we do catch up eventually. It just doesn't happen as quickly as people think it should.
So I don't think we've ever, as a committee, it's going to sound weird, but I don't think we've ever gone down in price. I think we've consistently got, it's gone higher and higher and higher and higher. We may have plateaued here or there, but I don't think we've ever gone down.
I don't think we have.
I guess my question is, in the foreseeable future, do you anticipate the values to decrease in any way?
Possibly, but not for another year or two because of the
Sure.
the fiscal year cycle that we're in. Next year is fiscal 24, which is a reval year for us, which means that every value, every property, every little detail is scrutinized by not only myself, but the Department of Revenue and some of our vendors. So it is an island-wide thing that used to happen every 3 years. Now it happens every 5. So next year is our reval year. And I expect that the outcome of that should clarify or at least focus some of our values a little bit better than they have been. But we're always playing catch up with whatever the market's doing.
Sure. Lee, go ahead.
Yes, with respect to price, one reflects on inflation. Economically, the GDP, the gross domestic product, has been rising just below 8%. And that is the overall rise in prices and values in our economy. Rob, is that a good number for Nantucket? Is Nantucket real estate greater or lesser than that?
Good question.
It's greater than that. I think probably last year, we're looking at probably a 20 or 25% increase just alone.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay,
But
so there are two parts to a property value. One is the value of the land, the other is the value of the structure.
Yep.
Does that 20 to 25% also apply to land?
the way we look at it, it applies for the whole thing. The structure value is going to be re-examined next year as part of our reval process. Because what that does is we gather cost estimates from local builders, tradespeople, and so forth to see that, to make sure that our cost tables for replacement costs and things like that are in line with what the market is. And we try to keep up with that, but again, those prices are going through the roof, just like you talk to anybody who's in the building trades and they are booked out for a couple of years because there're just not enough builders and people doing things that,
Right.
And so they're able to charge whatever they want, basically. So that's
They
gonna hit
do.
us. That's gonna hit us.
We're in the wrong business sometimes.
Yeah.
So John, with respect to your question, should we elect to raise the value or price that we suggest be charged? If it is somewhat below that inflationary number, should inflation be checked in a year or two, we would not have to reduce what we charge.
So let me back up a little bit. So prior to 2021, we started with a base number of $1 a square foot for yard sales.
Yep.
And during our reval that took place in 2019, we doubled our excess value price so that the real estate committee doubled the $1 to $2.
That's
So
right. Is that
what
the
that-
on the most recent ones we've been doing $2 unless there's special circumstances with respect to location or other things to make it.
Right. Right. So the base figure is fine, but the factors that we multiply that by, depending on the location of where it is, those tend to slide with the market more so.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So your base price is just a starting off point. So, if you guys wanted to go up from $2 to, $2.50 or $3 or something like that, that's probably, I don't know, that's up to you guys. That's probably okay. I do hear from people from time to time who are, the beneficiaries of this, who buy these things. And some of them say it's too much as it is now. And some of them say it's not enough. So I don't know what the answer is for that, but I don't hear too many complaints.
No, I think it's a really good point. And I think what's also worth noting is I believe, Ken and Haley, that 30,000 is our effective limit. In other words, once a piece goes for more than 30,000, we have to go through the RFP process. So it would seem to make sense to me that we want to be cognizant of that. I think we've only seen one or two of those since we started, but I think we would want to be cognizant of that if some of these start creeping up there between, the square footage and the fact that it's in the high rent district or wherever it may be.
But the fact, John, the break on it is in fact that you can't use it to in fact create an additional lot.
Mhm.
So the fact
Oh,
is
yeah.
that if you're doing that, you're not being able to in fact get something that you can market as a result of that acquisition, because that's always been the criteria that
Yep.
that no matter what, it will never be enough to allow you to create and subdivide.
Yeah, I can't say you're hamstrung by it, but you have limits on what you can use the
Correct,
parcel
yeah.
for, and given its shape, given its size, et cetera. And
Yeah.
we've been cognizant of that, and we've known that we can't charge people based on their intended use. It doesn't work, and it never. I don't think it ever could work that
Yeah,
way.
we've been through that.
Yeah,
one.
ad nauseum, we've been through
Right.
that one. So Rob, you think you might have new numbers by the end of 2022?
Well, we'll have new values.
Yeah.
But I think what we're gonna see is that this is the peak. And I don't know that we're gonna go much higher from here. I think that, the market's probably gonna turn in the next, I mean, I say this every year, but probably in the next year or so. I mean, we can't go much, I mean, I don't know
No.
how much higher you can go.
It doesn't make sense anymore.
We keep
Particularly
saying
when you have
that.
no inventory
getting
whatsoever to sell.
So, I mean,
So-
I don't want you guys to come up and then, face a situation where things have gone down and then you're back to lowering it. So, I mean, I don't, this is just my opinion, but maybe, keep it at $2 or go up to $2.50 or something, but I wouldn't go much higher than that.
Well, it's an interesting, it is an interesting point that, again, but for a handful of people who have complained about it, for the most part, nobody's really griping that much. Who's buying? I mean, right, wrong, or otherwise, they're just grateful that the process goes forward and that they get it.
They haven't walked away because they have to pay $2 a square foot.
Thank you. That's a very inarticulate way of that's a very articulate way of what I was getting at inarticulately. That we haven't lost anyone yet.
Right.
And
we won't.
And we won't. And I mean, I would have to believe too that if somebody says, that's too rich for my blood, the neighbor might say, okay, well, I'll do it, and I'll give
Yeah.
you, I'll give you an easement or something over it, but I'll take it, sure. Because at some, I'm not sure what the total value is to the town at the end of the day here, but the town doesn't want these things on their tax. I mean, they want the property on the tax rolls.
Tax roll.
Yeah, I mean, it's a win. It's a win-win at the end of the day. But it's a good point about not wanting to go down in price, or
But we
saying,
should wait.
yeah, we should. I mean, I guess the only sort of saving grace is that I don't think we have a lot of dispositions in our immediate future. So I don't know how much.
Some catch up, John, because before Haley got here, I didn't put anything on the agenda.
Yeah, it's fine.
It was not possible to do it.
Yeah.
There was just so many hours in the day that I could work.
Yeah. Lee, what?
Just to summarize, we raised the price in 2019, 3 years ago. We doubled it. It's a 100% increase. Rob is talking about a 50 cents over $2, 25% increase. And Rhoda just said, it seems to me that it makes sense to defer this decision till we get more information on values. Of course, I asked the question about the separation between land and structure values. And Rhoda, I agree with you. Here we are in November. It's not critical in terms of the fiscal year. We're somewhere in the midst of negotiations, and to defer, say, to early 2023 would be just fine.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with that as well. Again, it doesn't seem as though, sort of December meeting notwithstanding, doesn't seem as though anything's all that pressing. So I think it's okay to punt. Or I mean, punt sounds like we're just not
Well,
acting on it, but until we get
to
more
wait.
information. Yes.
To wait.
Parliamentarily, it's to postpone the decision until such time as the next meeting, or we get more information, or we get off our duffs.
Really.
So
Perfect,
articulate. I love
perfect,
it. Exactly.
Yes, somebody write that down.
Yeah.
Defer.
I got it.
Defer until at least the February meeting.
Yeah, that probably makes sense. And for what it's worth too, I know Thomas isn't here, but I'll say it out loud. I don't think there's any sense in, it's not up to this committee to try to recapture any more of the town's legal fees. If Vicky wants to charge more, Vicky can charge more. And the deal is that the purchaser has to pay it. And we all know that, but we shouldn't be just adding, another $5,000 surcharge
Mhm.
for the sake of charging it.
I agree with that.
The fact of the matter is that that is the decision of KP Law with respect to the amount they charge. It is not our role to challenge that. And so whatever KP Law decides with respect to the different transactions is what the fee is, because in fact, it is, while it is generally similarly the same amount, in more complex transactions, the amount goes up to reflect the amount of work
Agreed.
that's done.
Absolutely.
And I would ask that you, as a committee, have that recorded in the minutes as a decision, subject to be discussed with Corrado when he gets back. But the fact is, that is not a role of this committee.
No, I think we're in agreement on that.
Do we want a motion on that?
I don't know that we want a motion yet. I think I'd rather,
You know, have him.
I think Penny's on board, but I think we should double check with her. Lee,
I think the appropriate thing, Mr. Chair, is to suggest that it become a formal agenda item for the next meeting. And then
Well,
that
so-
records it, but it's not a motion.
so I was gonna say, in addition to that, I think it makes sense to have it as, I mean, I would think that we would incorporate this when we sort of finalize pricing in January or February.
Yeah,
but
but it
just-
should be on the same agenda as we do finalizing pricing.
Yeah, I think that's,
Tentatively
I think that's
February
right.
agenda.
Yep.
Okay.
Those two items are not
Yep.
on the February agenda.
That's fine with me.
all right, does anybody have any other questions or comments for Rob?
Keep those boats running.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
thank you, Rob.
having me. Thank you.
Thanks. You know, it's always, it's always beneficial to get your input on this. And we really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Are we going to have enough boats over Thanksgiving with the president coming here?
God, I hope so.
Well said. Well said. All right. So, thank you again, Rob. All right, moving on to any other business. Anybody have any other business? Okay. Hearing none. Date and time of our next meeting will be Monday, December 12th at 2 p.m. With that in mind, may I have a motion to adjourn at 2:25?
So,
Before we leave my own personal calendar,
Yeah.
I should be able to join, but I'll be doing it from London.
Oh.
At 7 p.m. That's no big deal. January's meeting could be more difficult.
Okay, we'll cross that bridge as we get to it, and maybe we'll reschedule that.
Yeah,
Fine.
because I'll be all at sea.
Nice.
oh, nice.
All right, so we have a motion to adjourn at 2:25. Is there a second, Lee?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Let's do a roll call vote. All in favor, Rhoda Wyman,
Hi,
Lee Saperstein.
Aye.
The chair votes aye as well. All right, everyone.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.